Today, I want to talk shamanic microdosing, and I also want to give you the practice so that if it sparks your interest, you can do it yourself at home. So today, the conversation about microdosing is leaning far into a medical perspective. It's all about doses and protocols and what supplements should you combine it with and so on. And that's all good and well, but I would like to give you something else, another perspective. So just to begin, just to open up the box of what is the big difference when we talk about shamanic microdosing, it is this. The mushroom, if we're talking about mushrooms, I work with a mushroom. The mushroom is a teacher. It's an intelligence. There's someone on the other side. When we eat mushrooms, we're not just getting a funny effect in our brains. We are actually establishing a relationship with something outside of ourselves. An entity, a teacher, a master. That is the great difference between approaching this from a shamanic point of view or a medical point of view. So working with microdosing shamanically leans into this, leans into the understanding that we have to do with relationship with a master that wants to guide us, wants to help us heal. Now, who am I to talk about this? Well, my name is Daniel Wilby, and I've been working with entheogens for the past 20 years. And I especially work with the sacred mushroom and with LSD. What I'm sharing with you today is how the mushroom has taught me to do it. So as the medical model asks questions about dosage and trying to optimize the schedule and so on, what are the questions that we are looking for in a shamanic space? Well, what is the master trying to say? What is the mushroom trying to tell us? And what can I do to listen better? And what can I do to build relationship better as to get better listening and better answers and better understanding? And in the next step, how can I better integrate the insights that I'm getting? Many years ago, I was channeling on the subject of different drugs. And what was apparent when we were talking about the drugs were there were no entheogens on the table. They weren't mentioned at all. So I had to ask, well, what about psychedelics? And the answer that came back, it just stuck to me. The answer was, oh, no, you totally misunderstood that. Psychedelics aren't drugs. Psychedelics are keys to open doors to the divine. Psychedelics or entheogens or plant teachers, masters, whatever we want to call them, they are active. They're not passive molecules. They are active intelligences that want to help us, heal and grow and become the best versions of ourselves that we can be, so that we can be the best versions of ourselves in the whole. They are teachers and allies on this journey. And the best way to meet up a teacher or an ally is with respect. How do we approach a master plant with respect? Well, for one, we see it for what it is, a master. We don't come in and try to use it as a drug. We don't come in and try to use it as a medicine without intelligence. We don't come in and force our way upon it. We listen. We listen and we try to understand and we try to find the insight. Another way of really showing respect is to not just let the insights lie there on the table, but actually work with them. Put them into use in your everyday life. That is the greatest sign of respect that you can give. So let's talk about the actual practice. Well, the very first thing that we should ask ourselves in all plant medicine work is, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I contemplating on doing microdosing? Is this actually the path forward for me? Or should I be doing something else? And if this does feel like the path for me, well, what questions am I coming with to the table? What questions am I coming to my master to help give me answers? Well, that's something to think about. Are you here because you need help healing? Are you here because you need deeper insight? Are you looking to start connecting to the medicine before a bigger ceremony? Or are you coming out of a ceremony and want to continue the contact afterwards? All of these questions you should be asking yourself. Why am I here? Why am I leaning in to microdosing with the master? And of course, this leads on to what we usually talk about as intention. What is my intention? What is my purpose? So I'll give you some examples of purposes. I want to heal from depression. Or help me reconnect with my inner child. Or please show me the way forward in my life right now. All of these are just examples of intentions that could be relevant. And you need to find your intention. So coming into this, we will want to create a space for our ceremony. Because that is what we're talking about. We're talking about ceremony. We want to create a space for our ceremony. Now that space might be a mindset, a head space. Or it might be a physical space, a space where you sit down to do this practice. It might be a time of day. It might be 7 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the morning. Whatever space that you choose will eventually be imbued with the energy of your practice. So think about, what space do I want to create? And don't try to squeeze this in between work and practice and whatever else you've got going on. Dedicate this time to this practice. That is also a sign of respect, not doing it while you're listening to a pod on the bus. Give it the time it deserves. Now, what about the dose? Well, working shamanically, you want to try to be intuitive about the dose. What feels suitable at the moment? Where am I in life? Do I want to lean into a slightly higher dose or a slightly lower dose? What feels right today? To actually take the time and reconnect with yourself and say, what do I need right now? Now, when working with with entheogens. We need to realize that the dose is individual. What works for one person is too little or too much for another person. So whatever, you need to find your dose and your sweet spot, or sweet spots for that matter. When microdosing, we tend to want to come in at a space where we're only really subtly aware if we tune into it. But otherwise, it's kind of more in the background, just working with us. So I would say, well, perhaps you go in by 0.1 to 0.3 grams cubensis as a starter, somewhere in that span, and then just feel into it, and you will, over time, develop your intuition and your feeling about these masters and medicines. So leading on, let's go into the actual ceremony. The actual ceremony. We take the master, the medicine, mindfully. However much you have chosen to take it mindfully and with your intention in mind. And then wait approximately 30 to 60 minutes, and after that sit down in meditation. But begin the meditation by speaking out loud about what it is you want. Why are you here at the Master's feet? Why are you here seeking insight? What is it you are looking for? So if I'm just making this up, let's go with, please, I really need help to heal this depression. It is killing me. And I'm just crying all day. I really need some insight in how to move forward. And you just talk out loud like this about your intention, not paying too much attention to putting the exact right words. You're not reading a manuscript. You are opening a channel of communication. You are speaking freely from the heart about what it is you want and what it is you need, what you're looking for. And you do that as long as it feels relevant. It could be 15 seconds or it could be 5 minutes. Just so that you really lean into it. And you speak loud. You don't speak in here. You don't keep it in your head. You speak it out loud. Because that gives extra energy to your intention. And when you've spoken it out loud, you sit down in meditation. And you just relax in and you observe. You observe. You don't try to steer the meditation in any direction. You just see if you can hear what is being said, what is being communicated with you. And now I just said, hear. But that is only one sense, isn't it? It might be coming through in pictures. It might be coming through in feelings. It might be sensations in different parts of your body. Perhaps a sensation saying, you need to look at your stomach. You need to look at your heart. You need to look at your thoughts. It might be coming up with clues. It might be giving you techniques. You need to be open to whatever form it is that the information is coming through on. Or, and this is equally valid, or no communication at all. And that is absolutely okay. You might be expecting communication, but if it's just silent, let it be silent. And be grateful and thankful for this silence that you could spend with the Master. Just trust and be patient with the process. The medicine works on deeper levels than your conscious mind can often comprehend. So, how long should you sit in meditation? Well, again, lean into your intuition. Lean into trying to feel when is enough for you. Now, if you really want to set a time, if you really want to kind of put a time limit on yourself, well, perhaps begin with 20 minutes or so. But even better, I would say, is sit with it until you feel done, until you get a feeling that now we're done, now we're done. And coming out of this practice, continue being mindful throughout the day, throughout the coming days. Because everything doesn't just come in at once. Just because you sit down in meditation, it doesn't mean that you're doing a download. That download goes on throughout the day, throughout the weeks. Just be mindful and be present and listen. And as I said before, when I say listen, it doesn't mean just listen. It means look, it means feel, taste, whatever sensations are coming to you, coming through you. And not only sensations, see if you can feel your thoughts and things coming through in other ways, synchronicities in your life. You just happen to bump into the person that has something to say about something. Be open. Be open to the universe answering your plea, your cry for help. The universe has heard you. The mushroom has heard you. Now you need to receive. I mentioned this before. How do we respect the entheogen? I would say that the most important part is taking the insights in your work and putting them to work in your everyday life. As you do that, that is the ultimate form of respect. If I come to you and ask you for an answer, if I ask you for, please, can you help me? How should I do in this situation? The greatest form of respect is following your advice or taking your advice and tweaking it to fit me. But in one way or another, taking that advice and putting it to work, that is respect. That is respect towards the entheogen, the mushroom that you're working with, but it is also respect towards yourself. Because you were the one that came with this question. And are you going to honor yourself by using the insights that you're given to work with this question? Why are you just going to buzz off and do whatever else you want to do, watch TV or something? It's all your choice and it's all okay. But if we're doing this work, if we're doing work with a master plant, we want to keep the respect in the relationship. So how often do we want to do this shamanic microdosing? Well, I suppose this is also one of these points where medical approach and the shamanic approach quite differs. Or doesn't. I mean, you could do it with the medical approach in a shamanic way. That's okay. In a more medically inclined approach, you have protocols. For example, I've seen protocols which are you microdose 4 days in a row, and then you take a pause for 3 days, and then you take it 4 days and then a pause for 3 days. Or you will see other protocols saying take it every 3 days or so on. Well, that is a construct of a mind. It's a construct of a mind sitting down with a pen and a piece of paper saying, how often should I take it? It isn't really leaning into your own life experience. What do I need right now? What works in my life? What works in this space, in this environment that I am in? Where does it fit in? When does it fit in? How does it fit in? When we start leaning into ourselves in this way and be in more contact with ourselves, we will have answers to how often should I take this? And it might be 4 days on and 3 days off. Or it might be Monday, Tuesday, Friday this week, and then next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Or something totally different. It might be affected by your work schedule, or your schedule with your children, or something else. But this is a big difference between following a protocol and following your intuition. And if we're working from a shamanic point of view, there's no problem with working with a protocol. That's all good and fine. But as we're pushing this a step further, we want to lean in more and more into our intuition instead of protocols. Protocols are for people that don't know how to lean into their intuition. Intuition trumps protocol every day of the week. So use a protocol to get going. Absolutely. Good idea. But as your intuition grows, as you become more confident in your intuition, lean into your intuition more and more. And again, remember, we're working in relationship. Don't feel that, I must do it now because I've got it on my schedule. If you are overwhelmed or overworked or you just do not have time, don't stress it. Just say, okay, now is not the time. I will come back tomorrow instead. Because I value this time that I have with my teacher. And I don't want to squeeze it in when there's actually no space for it. Be true to yourself. Be true to the relationship you are trying to build. So to put the microdosing in a context, when do we do this? Well, one way, of course, is just doing the microdosing. And when do we do that? Yes, well, if we want to work very gently with something, for example, depression or burnout or something else, we might want to go in and just gently nudge our process forward. Yes, that's great. Just do microdosing. Just do microdosing. But it is often also used when leading into a ceremony. We're doing a full dose ceremony and we want to start connecting with the master before the ceremony. And then we might spend weeks or even in some cases months just microdosing, getting in contact and start talking about our intentions. And I've had quite a few clients that have been looking at doing a full dose ceremony and they've got an intention and it's very clear. And coming into actual ceremony, they already really have the answers. And the ceremony comes to be more about not getting the answers, but getting the tools to actually implement those answers. On the other side of a ceremony is also a great space to work with microdosing. So in the ceremony you are 100% in that space with the master. But coming out of it, you might want to just continue being in contact, kind of like checking in with the master every now and then. And that kind of continuation, that can also go on for weeks or even months. So what perspective we go into this work with? If it's a medical perspective or a shamanic perspective, does it actually make a difference? Well, my answer to that question is yes. Yes, it makes a huge difference. It makes all the difference. Because in one perspective, you are actually just going in and trying to take something. You're trying to take something, an effect. In the other, you are actually approaching the teacher in a respectful manner, and you are opening up, talking about what is bothering you or what you need guidance in. You're approaching it with respect and building relationship. Now, what does that mean in the longer picture of it all? The healing goes deeper. The understanding goes deeper. The insights become ingrained in you. It isn't just a funny effect on your brain. It's deep connection with yourself, with the world around you. In that manner, what is in one context described as a medicine, here it is described as a sacrament. But I wouldn't even use the word sacrament, I would use friend or teacher. In one model, you are looking for symptom relief. In the other, you are leaning into connection, into healing, into being. Summing all of this up, I would like to invite you to try this method. If you're already into microdosing, try this and see what difference it makes. Set aside the time. Create your ceremony. Speak with the master, and you will see what I'm talking about. That the healing goes deeper, the understanding goes deeper, and you will move along quicker and further than you would if you just approach it as a medicine like any other. And perhaps on the way, you will also find what cultures all over the world that are working with these medicines and these plant teachers have known for ages. These are conscious intelligences that are here to help us. They are active. They are not passive molecules for us to consume. They are allies on our journey. Now, if you would like someone to work together with on your journey of microdosing, please feel free to get in contact. You will find my contact details underneath this video. I wish you all the best.